Georgia quarterback Carson Beck recently appeared on a Footballville podcast and had a lot of very interesting things to say about his time in Athens.
So how about the fucking dogs? That's what I told them.
Beck covered a lot of ground in his interview, including what it was like to be a freshman at UGA, the frustrations he felt during his time in Athens when he wasn't playing, and whether or not he actually considered transferring out of the University of Georgia. Beck also touched on what it's been like transitioning to a new offensive coordinator and what he did in spring of 23 to position himself to possibly be QB1 heading into the fall. Now, flashback to fall of 2021, the Georgia Bulldogs were playing the UAB Blazers, and all week long, Carson Beck thought he was going to be the starting quarterback after JT Daniels had gotten hurt the week before. At the end of the day, Stetson Bennett got that call, and the rest is history. Beck talked about how he felt after that happened.
Obviously, I mean, you're going to be frustrated in that situation. Like, you start to get impatient. Things aren't going exactly the way that you planned them. You know, like going in to Georgia, I was like, I'm going to start my first year. Like, I'm going to, you know what I'm saying? Like, all this stuff. But, you know, all these thoughts and plans that you had get totally switched up on you. And it's like, it's a surprise, you know? But yes, like, I was frustrated.
Now, it was very interesting to hear Beck be real about the frustrations he felt after not being chosen to start against UAB. And he actually questioned whether or not Georgia was the right place for him. But at the end of the day, it was everything about Georgia that let him know he was right where he was supposed to be.
I definitely could have gone, you know, like I could have went somewhere.
Went somewhere else.
And there was a lot of schools who did reach out to me, and I did consider it at a time. Like, I was because I was frustrated. Like, I was mad that, you know, things didn't go my way. But also at the same time, what we have at Georgia and the pieces around you as a quarterback, like, it's instrumental to your success. Football is so much more than just like a team. Like, it's obvious, like every individual together, you know, and at Georgia, that's what you're going to get. Yeah. And I think that was a huge reason of why I stayed. And not only that, but the mantra that like we go by and the standard of excellence and success. I mean, it's things and reasons of why I committed in the first place, you know, like those standards that Coach Smart has set. And they're just getting passed down to every single class that's coming in, and it's only getting stronger and stronger. And it's just about carrying through and just being the best that you can be in every situation, you know? And I don't think anybody works as hard as we do, practices like we do, gets in the weight room like we do, studies film like we do. Like, it truly is ridiculous. And we put a lot of time into it. And there's nothing more that I'd rather do.
So after that decision that realistically changed the trajectory of the Georgia football program over the last 2 years, Carson Beck had to find his new way forward, and part of that new way forward involved breaking in a new offensive coordinator with Mike Bobo here in 23 after Todd Monken returned to the NFL. Beck offered his thoughts on that as well.
Coach Monken was there for 3 years. He just left. So now we got Coach Bobo.
Yeah.
And obviously every offensive coordinator is going to be different, but for the most part, like, very similar terms, very similar and certain play calls and whatnot. Yeah. But like, it's his twist, you know, it's going to be his offense. It's not going to be him running Coach Monken's offense. Right. He's going to run his offense. He's going to do it he wants at the end of the day. But what I do love about Bobo is, you know, the way that he connects to the quarterbacks and how, what's the word I'm looking for? Involved, like, we are in like the game plan of things. Before the spring game, like, he was talking to me like, well, what do you want on this down and this and this down and this? You know what I'm saying? Like, kind of going through and sending me his ideas and what, like, was I in agreement of that, you know? And I could change it up or tell him I really like this play instead of this one, or give him like a top 3 for third downs. Like, we're going to go in this order. When we get to third down, you already know what the call is going to be. So like, it's already that like precursor of like, okay, I already know what's going to be called. So I'm even more prepared than I already was in the first place. So that's definitely something that I've loved about Coach Bobo, but the offense has been definitely very similar.
So Stetson Bennett is gone. He has a new offensive coordinator. And Carson lets us know exactly what he planned to do to position himself as QB1 heading into 2023. Carson wanted to step into spring practice and, in his words, just take over.
going into January, I was going to lead during workouts. I was going to assume that role and position and just be myself through it all. Like not be someone that I'm not. I think that's the most important thing as well, is not trying to be someone else. Like just be you at the end of the day, especially as a quarterback. Go through winter workouts, do my thing, and then head into spring football and just try to take over, and be who I am. Don't try to do too much, because I feel like in quarterback battles a lot of the time, like you try to do too much. Like you think like, oh, I got to make the big throw every time. Like I got to make the big play. Like, nah, you just got to get first downs and score.
Being the starting quarterback at the University of Georgia brings a spotlight and a level of scrutiny that is unrivaled across much of the college football landscape. But Carson Beck knows this because he's learned it during his time in Athens. Based on what I've seen and heard from Carson Beck so far, I believe he has the talent, the mindset, and has embraced the growth in such a way to position himself to be ready to succeed for the Georgia Bulldogs in 2023. For my money, I feel really confident and comfortable if Carson Beck ends up being QB1 for the Bulldogs this fall. Go Dogs!
We will not be hunted at the University of Georgia. I can promise you that.